recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen with ideas we're happy to share.
Hello, and welcome to the May show of So Many Cooks in the Kitchen. So Many Cooks is a monthly show we've been on for almost 3 years, and every month we go kitchen to kitchen. Each of us is a Food for Life instructor. Food for Life is a nutrition education program of the Physicians Committee. We offer a wide variety of classes that are evidence-based about food and nutrition. It's all plant-based, and we have classes that help keep us healthy, and other classes that focus on specific conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer. Places where we have evidence that eating this way, low-fat, plant-based vegan, can really be very helpful. And in some cases, if you have some of those situations, help control. So today, there's many fun dishes with brunch. I'm going to be talking about my simple fruited oatmeal. Oatmeal is a wonderful food to cook, and I'm going to go ahead and start cooking, and then I'll tell you more about oats. I'm going to put some milk, and I'm going to be using this soy milk, and I'll tell you more about that in a second. So I basically I have a ratio of 1 to 2. 1 part rolled oats, these are rolled oats, and in a minute I'll talk about steel cut oats. So here they are together, steel cut oats and rolled oats. Okay? Nutritionally they're very similar. This has a slightly lower glycemic index, the steel cut oats, but they're very, very similar. So I'm going to put in any order 1 quantity oats. This is 1 cup rolled oats. And actually, I take that back. I forgot. The way I like to do it, and that's in the recipe document, is I put my oats in, and then I turn the heat on medium, and I'm going to toast the oats just for a moment. And very soon, it's going to start smelling nicely of toasted oats. This is optional. You don't have to do this. And another thing you can do is you can just soak the oats overnight. That's an overnight oatmeal. But I'm going to go ahead and cook it. So you can toast it for a couple minutes if you'd like. The oats will start turning light brown. I wouldn't go beyond that. You don't want to burn the oats. But in the interest of time, I'm going to move on. It doesn't smell that toasty yet. I'll let it toast just for another moment. Again, this is optional. You don't have to do this. Okay? So then, now I'm smelling a little bit of a toast smell. I'm going to add twice as much plant milk. This is an unsweetened soy milk. So 1 cup oats and 2 cups soy milk. Okay, here goes. Okay. I'm also going to add some cinnamon. Okay, so a couple shakes of cinnamon. You can add more or less. I love the taste of cinnamon, and you know what's really cool about cinnamon, and we've talked about this in the show before, is it helps lower the glycemic index of foods. It tastes sweet, but it actually reduces how quickly sugars get absorbed into the bloodstream. So I love cinnamon. So let's put the cinnamon in. My daughter actually likes to sometimes add nutmeg, freshly ground nutmeg. I'm also going to add some apple. Okay, this is an unsweetened oatmeal, and I've served this to children. I have a program called the Healthy Snack Program, and they eat oatmeal with no sweetener but with apple, and they love it. So here goes the apple. This was a rather large Fuji apple. So my recipe calls for 1 apple. You can use less. This is going to be a very, very fruity oatmeal. You can see how big the Fujis were. Okay? And you can optionally add some raisins. It doesn't really need the raisins, but I'll go ahead and add some raisins, just a few raisins. Also some vanilla. You can add some vanilla if you'd like. You know what I sometimes do is I add orange essence. Okay, I forgot to get the vanilla, so let me grab some vanilla. Here's the vanilla. So I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla. It adds a nice flavor. Orange essence is great as well. Okay, so some vanilla. Okay. And that's it. That's as simple as it is. It's going to cook. And you can cook it on medium heat for 3 to 4 or 5 minutes. That's it. It'll be done. It'll absorb the milk. So while it's cooking, let's talk a little bit about oats. Oats are a wonderful food. They're full of fiber. And just check my notes to make sure I don't forget anything. Oatmeal helps to lower cholesterol. It's a good source of protein and B vitamins. Now let's talk about the different kinds of oatmeal. They all come from oat groats, and it depends on how it's processed, how it's cut. This is the steel cut oats, and they're processed less than the rolled oats. They're still minimally processed. I shouldn't use the word processed. Don't be scared when I say that. And really take your pick. If you use steel cut oats, it takes longer to cook. The ratios are the same. I like a ratio of 1 to 2. Some people like more liquidy oatmeal. Try 1 to 3. If you like it a little bit more solid, try 1 to 1.5. But I really find 1 to 2 works well, and especially if you don't serve it right away, the liquid will really be absorbed nicely by the oats. Okay? So the big difference between steel cut and rolled oats is it tastes a little bit different. This is slightly lower on the glycemic index, but they're both low on the glycemic index. So all things equal, I guess you could go this way, but they're so good and they're so close, it doesn't really matter. So pick whichever one you like better. Rolled oats cook faster, and sometimes if I haven't had the steel cut oats for a while, I'll say let's have steel cut oats for a change. Other things you can add include walnuts, which are good sources of omega-3s. They're also high in fat, so if you use them, be careful not to use too many. And I like blueberries. If you use blueberries and you have frozen blueberries, I like to put the blueberries in before it's done cooking so that the freeze comes off. It comes closer to room temperature. Fresh blueberries I'm going to put in the last bit of cooking so that it's fresh, or even at the table on the bowl. So my oats are basically done. There's still a good amount of milk. I don't know if you can see it. So let me talk for a moment about the milk. So if you use a plant milk like this, this is the plant milk I use to make my homemade yogurt. And this one I like because it has only 2 ingredients, water and organic soybeans. We should do a show sometime on vegan yogurts, maybe plant-based cheeses. So when I make yogurt, this is the milk I use. I sometimes use Eden soy. They also have a plain milk. But just for drinking, this is nice. If you're used to sweetened soy milks or sweetened almond milks, then this will take a little getting used to. But once you get used to this, at least I don't like the sweetened milks anymore. So this one's more expensive than most. It's on sale right now, so I bought it. For the purposes of the oatmeal, it can be any plant milk. I'm going to turn the heat off, and I'm going to go ahead and serve some oatmeal, see what it's like. So grab a bowl. Okay. So you can see, if we had all the time in the world, and of course I want to pass it on to Mark. Mark's making another version of oatmeal. So at home, I would just let it sit for another 3-4 minutes without heat, and all the liquid would be absorbed. But you can also eat it this way, kind of like a warm cereal. Okay, so let's serve it that way, just in the interest of time. And I'm going to put 1 piece of walnut, and let's put a couple blueberries in. And let me get my spoon. It smells really good. I wish that the viewers were here. And I forgot to mention, we have some giveaways. So ask questions at any time. But if you ask questions at the end of the show, we have a couple giveaways. Okay, and I'll be behind the computer soon to answer any questions, but my colleagues are able to answer questions now that you may have. There's the oatmeal. It's delicious. It's cooked. The oats are nice and soft, but if I were to let it sit for a little longer, it would be even better. The vanilla really comes out very nicely. Since I didn't cook it so long, the apple has still a little bit of crunch, as you let the apple cook more of the sweetness of the apple flows into the oatmeal. One more tip is you can pressure cook oatmeal, and if you do that, the apples will really be like mush, and the sweetness will spread even more. Instead of being punctuated by apple, you'll get more spread out apple flavor and sweetness. And it's plenty sweet. I have no idea why anybody would want to add maple syrup or agave or anything. It's plenty sweet. I love it. And that's it. That's an easy brunch. If you have folks over for brunch, this might be one of the dishes you make. You can make a number of other dishes, and you'll have a wonderful, wonderful brunch. A great way to start the day or to punctuate midday. So Mark next is making his own oatmeal. He's making a sweet and savory oatmeal. Take it away, Mark.
Hi, everybody. Mark Cirkvenik here. Let's Eat Great Food. You can find me on Facebook at Let's Eat Great Food, or on Facebook or on the internet at letseatgreat.com. Philip, your brunch idea was fantastic. I am actually, you might recognize the fact that I am not in my home kitchen today. I'm actually in Orderville, Utah, just outside of Zion National Park on tour. One of the many things that I do is I partner with Veg Johnson Journey, and my wife Lori and I, as you probably well know, if you're fans of the show, we cook on these tours. So this week, we're wrapping up our tour here in beautiful Zion National Park. We'll be going to Bryce Canyon and Coral Sands and just having a wonderful time. But today's show really works out very nice because we're doing a little oatmeal brunch, right? So where's my oatmeal at? My oatmeal is covered under the tinfoil. There you go, live TV. Don't you just love it, folks? So there's my oatmeal there. Really boring, right? Well, let's kind of spice this up a little bit. So we're going to do several things here. We're going to do a sweet side and a savory side. So two different sides. Savory sounds really weird, right? But we actually had a guest that suggested that, and some people seem to really like that. So on the sweet side, we've got chocolate chips, raisins. We've got raw sugar. We've got ground cinnamon, pie spice, which is a combination of your classic pumpkin pie spice like nutmeg and cinnamon and cloves and things like that. We've got a little ground cumin, which should actually be with my my savory side. We've got maple syrup. Kind of moving over into the savory side are two different types of nuts. We've got pecans and walnuts. We've got mango. We've got avocado. We've got sweet potatoes. We've got flax seeds, rice wine vinegar, some black beans. We've got ground cumin, everything bagel, sesame seed, and everything else that's in that everything bagel mix, paprika, pepper, and salt, and then the fruit, all different types of fruit. So what a quick, easy way to make a brunch, kind of surprise your family, your friends with a savory side. They might look at you like you're a little crazy, but oh, what the heck, they probably know that already. So with that said, I'd like to thank you for attending today's show. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Janan, who's in Abu Dhabi. Take it away.
Hi, Mark. How wonderful that you're traveling. One of these days, we have to put our forces together and maybe plan a tour to Italy, where I often take plant-based tours. So that would be awesome. And I would love to come to one of your tours and be a guest. Sounds just amazing. Merhaba, everybody, and welcome to my kitchen in Abu Dhabi. Today, our topic is so many brunch foods, and what a wonderful topic to have because we are also celebrating our 3rd anniversary. Hard to believe that so many cooks in the kitchen started 3 years ago during the pandemic when we were all stuck at home. And now we're thankfully, gratefully free to do as we wish. But we all went through some hard times, and so many cooks in the kitchen helped me pass those days with more fun and gave me a purpose, really, during those lockdown days. So for our so many brunch foods, I decided to make a sausage, an oat-based sausage. I found my recipe on the Nutmeg Notebook website. She has awesome recipes. You can go check it out. I altered it a bit by adding salt and pepper and walnuts as a secret ingredient. I felt that the walnuts gave the mix a little bit of a tiny bite, like you would get in sausages. And so here we go. The ingredients are all in our recipe booklet, so no worries, you don't have to take notes. This recipe is a simple one for a person who's already plant-based. I'm sure you have all these ingredients in your pantry already. For a transitioning person, you might have to run out and get a few things. But the champion is oats, and you can tell we consume a lot of oats. This is my oats jar, and it's at the bottom. I have to go get some more. Oats, nutritional yeast, ground flax, garlic powder, onion powder, Italian mix, and extra sage. Reduce, reuse. This is another jar, but I have sage in it, and some hot chili flakes, and as I said, salt and pepper. Italian mix. Every store has several Italian mixes available, and I don't buy it. I make my own. I'll quickly read it. I did put that on the recipe booklet as well. It's got oregano, basil, thyme, rosemary, sage, caraway seeds, and fennel seeds. Caraway and fennel, fennel, they look alike, but fennel is a little bit more greener, and caraway, they're very, very different in their flavors, but this is how I make my Italian mix. You can see here all my, this is my rosemary, oregano, basil, and thyme. I use these on their own a lot in my cooking, therefore I don't go and buy the Italian mix, so I do it my own. How do I make it? I put them all in a coffee grinder and then zap it a few times, and it becomes a nice powder, all mixed up and fun to use. It goes really well in also, if you're making like a spaghetti sauce, you can put a little bit of this in it. It gives a wonderful flavor to it. So the one little trick to this recipe is to make sure when you put the herbs and spices, measure them, put them in a separate bowl than the oats. And I'll tell you why. The first step says to use all the herbs and spices and put them in a bowl or a pan of boiling water. So if you put the spices and the oats together, it gets clumpy so quickly that sometimes the spices don't evenly distribute. So therefore, it's really a good idea to bring your water to a boil, add your spices and herbs, mix it really well, and then add your measured cup or 2 cups, however you want to make it, into the boiling water. Then turn the heat down a little bit and keep stirring, stirring, stirring. Because the oats do need to cook a little bit with that spicy, herby water. And it becomes this messy, clumpy thing. You can see it's like this. I've already started some because you need to cook them a lot. Not a lot, but anyhow. So you basically then take it in your hands. Once it's cooled down, it's really hot and it stays hot for a bit. So you take it in your hand and you make your patties. This is always fun. I always like playing with Play-Doh with my daughter. Now that she's 35, I do my own Play-Doh in the kitchen. So I make my patties like this by hand. Nutmeg Notebook suggests that you could do it using a plastic mold and to put saran wrap in it and then make yours more beautifully shaped than possibly mine. Just gotta wipe my hand. And that's it. It's really easy. Basically, it takes really a few minutes to get your ingredients together and then get your water to a boil, put it in, mix, 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 make it a messy gooey like that, and then make your own patties. Now, the second trick is to not rush them while they're on the frying pan. So I have this lovely non-stick frying pan. I've put these patties about 5 minutes ago before I started my session, and you can see, I'm going to put them on a little plate now to show you. They are beautifully browned, and you need them. You need to do it patiently, because if you rush it and you don't cook them enough, at least 4 to 5 minutes on each side, then they fall apart. Here they are, and the smell in this kitchen is amazing. All the spices and herbs, and they're ready. So step 1, bring your water to a boil. Step 2, put your mixed spices in the water. Step 3, put your oatmeal in there. Stir, stir, stir until you come to a gloopy, messy oatmeal, and then be patient when you're cooking them. They are delicious. The other day, you can see, and the smoke is coming out, the steam. And I made it the other day, and my husband loved it. We actually had it for lunch. I had a nice kale salad and some rice cooked on the side, and they're delicious. So the reason why I added the walnuts is because the mix on its own is very nice and smooth. I just wanted a little bit of that bite in my sausages. It's so good, I'm going to eat the other one. Yummy. That's it, folks. But before I leave, I have another announcement to make. This week marks my 4th anniversary in becoming a Food for Life instructor, and trained in Washington, D.C. with an amazing group of about 25 people who each brought their amazing stories to our classroom. And with the amazing team in the PCRM team in Washington, D.C., we got our training, and at the end, we got our proud certificates. So it's been 4 amazing years. It's 6 years since I became plant-based, 4 years since I became a Food for Life instructor, and 3 years together with the So Many Cooks in the Kitchen team. It's been an amazing time. Now I can say goodbye. I'm going to hand it over to Susanna Dickman in Evansville, Indiana, and she's going to be making mocktails. What a wonderful way to celebrate our 3rd anniversary. Cheers, everybody, and see you again on another So Many Cooks in the Kitchen show. Bye from Abu Dhabi.
Thanks, Jonna. Your oat crumbles look so awesome. I can't wait to try to make that kind of sausage. Hi, everyone. My name is Susanna Dickman. I'm from Evansville, Indiana, and you can follow me on Eat Plants Be Well, both on Facebook and my website. Also, join my husband and I on Mondays on Eat Plants Be Well on Facebook as we make a delicious plant-based recipe for Meatless Monday, Evansville. Today, I'm going to make some mocktails. I'm going to make 5 different mocktails, actually. And, you know, when we think of brunch, we think of mocktails, we think of cocktails. We know alcohol is not good for us, but we can easily enjoy a delicious mocktail that's healthy for us. And I'm going to show you how to make 5 easy ones that I really and my family really likes. The first one I'm going to start out with is a blood orange mocktail. And if you don't know blood oranges, I recommend you go to your grocery store and find some. The season is, for citrus is kind of ending now, but you can still find some, and hopefully they're still fresh and good. I was able to find a couple that were really tasty. You can see it's called a blood orange because of the darker red color, and so we know, the added antioxidants and vitamin C, and it just has a flavor that makes a great mocktail. So we're going to start out with, this is about 2 ounces of blood orange juice. A typical blood orange will give you about 2 ounces of juice. I kind of cheated this time. This is bottled juice that I was able to buy because I was worried that my blood oranges weren't going to be as tasty in the store. But we're going to add that. And then I have, I like this product, and again, I'm not, I don't get any endorsements from any of these products, but this is just something that I found in our local grocery store. It's a ginger ale, and what I like about it, it's sweetened with agave nectar. So this is about a 7-ounce can, but I'm gonna go ahead and put that in. You can see it bubbling up because we want that fizz. All right, and it's as simple as that. I like to take a piece of the blood orange to garnish, and then I love to use rosemary. Does that look beautiful? I mean, it's, for me, mocktails is all about making your table look pretty and also adding to your health. So there is nothing unhealthy about this mocktail. Done, easy, okay? The next one I'm going to make is a Bloody Mary. And, again, when you think of, even as a child, I remember going a couple times to restaurants with my family, and it would be a brunch, and there being Bloody Marys, and thinking, oh gosh, first I didn't think I'd like it because tomato juice, I was like, I don't know if I like it. But I'm going to give you an easy recipe that is from Happy Herbivore to make a delicious, healthy Bloody Mary. And the first ingredient, I already poured in my bowl, is tomato sauce. Yes, you heard that right, because typically tomato or Bloody Marys are made with tomato juice, but we're using tomato sauce. So this is just 8 ounces of tomato sauce. And then I'm going to add 8 ounces of water. Okay, let me pour that in. I actually need 2 of these, right? Because this is a 1/2 cup. So let me go ahead and get that in. All right, now we're going to add the other ingredients. And we're going to put some Dijon mustard, 1 tablespoon. And again, Dijon mustard really is great to use to add an extra kick. Okay, whoops, making too much noise there. I'm going to go ahead and mix this in a little bit so that Dijon mustard comes out. Then I'm going to use a teaspoon. I'm going to use this here to get this out of there. It's kind of staying in there. I'm going to use a teaspoon or 1.5 teaspoons of vegan Worcestershire sauce. And you can find Worcestershire sauce at your local store. You need to make sure that it's vegan, because Worcestershire sauce, say that 10 times, typically has anchovies in it, but this is a great brand. So actually it's going to be 1.5 teaspoons. So let me go ahead and put in my teaspoon. Whoops. And I put in a little bit more, so I'm just going to add a little bit more, not quite put in 1/2. All right, there we go. Next, you can't have a Bloody Mary without hot sauce. So I like to use Frank's hot sauce. You could use a Tabasco sauce, whichever one we want. And this is a tablespoon. Again, if you mix this up and then you taste it and you think, oh, doesn't quite have the kick that I like, you can add more. You can add more of any of these ingredients, and that's what I love. There we go. That's a little bit less than a tablespoon, but I'm going to go ahead and use it, and then I'm going to whisk this up. finally, the last ingredient I'm going to use, let me clean up my little mess here, put that down there. We've got some spices. So we have some onion powder, garlic powder, a pinch of celery seed, and which is optional, but I like the celery seed. And then a pinch of black salt, which I know we've used this before in other recipes when we did our egg show, and it kind of has that sulfuric eggy taste. So you can use that, that's optional. Again, you know, make it your own. Let me go ahead and whisk this. And oh my goodness, it's amazing how with the tomato sauce, this is so good. Let me get a good whisk going on there. Yum, yum, yum. And I'm gonna put this in my tall glass. Let me move that over there. There we go. So this makes quite a bit. You know, just again, if you're making it for a crowd, just make the recipe, you know, just add more. But I'm gonna go ahead and pour this in my glass. There we go. I'm still gonna have a little bit left. Of course, we need celery in order to make a Bloody Mary. And then I've cut a little bit of lemon. You can use lime or lemon, but for some reason my grocery store was out of limes. And so I'm just gonna do that and kind of, let's see, I think what I'm gonna do is stick it to my celery so that it stays there. Sometimes I will add some olives to my garnish, but again, mocktails, part of the reason we make them is because they taste so good. Another is to make a pretty spread for our table, because think about all these breakfast foods you're learning about today and how beautiful they would look with our, you know, next to all the food that we're making. Okay, so 2 down and 3 to go. Our next one is mimosa. Okay, again, other than Bloody Mary, I think of mimosa as a recipe, you know, a mocktail for brunch. So we have some orange juice, and you know, I'm gonna make one with grapefruit juice too, but you can also use that blood orange juice if you want for mimosa. You know, mimosas are what? Typically orange juice and champagne. So we are going to use orange juice and ginger ale. I mentioned this brand of ginger ale. I like it because it's sweetened with agave. So I have about a cup of ginger ale, and I'm just going to add, or a cup of orange juice. I'm going to add my cup of ginger ale. And how easy is that? We've got our mimosa, okay? Just again, looks so pretty and so good. All right. Another take on a mimosa is grapefruit. And here is one more product that I really like. Oh, I know I shouldn't be shaking it because it's carbonated, so I'm gonna have to let this sit a minute. But this is a pink grapefruit. So I really like this product. Well, I let that sit a minute because I just shook it. I'm gonna go ahead and just show you a couple of other products that I like. You know, there are a lot of different flavored club sodas around. This is a brand from Trader Joe's that is blood orange and orange juice. So that might be something you wanna use. And my little helper here brought me another bottle of the ginger pink grapefruit, because yeah, we don't want to open up carbonated beverages after they're shaken. So again, another take on a mimosa is just pink grapefruit. So I'm going to add about half, and yes, this has carbonation already, so technically you really don't need to add anything else to it. I'm going to go ahead and use the whole jar, and then I'm just going to add a little bit extra of club soda, but or I'm gonna add just a little bit extra of ginger ale, just to give it a little bit more sweetness, because this does not have any sweetness in it. So I'll just pour a little bit. But there you go. So a pink grapefruit mimosa. Oh, let me scoot those over. All right. We have one more mocktail to make, and this one is using another ingredient that we like and that we buy, and this is stevia soda, I guess. They have a lot of different flavors that you can find, and this is sweetened with the stevia plant. So it is a great product. I don't really, drink a lot of it. I will use it sometimes, when we're making a mocktail. My son really likes it, and I'd rather have him drinking this than, regular soda, just because it is better for you. But this was a brand that they had during the Christmas holidays, a cran raspberry, and I love everything cranberries. So this is, again, it's carbonated already, and you'll notice it's clear, so it's not going to give us much color. But what I like to do, just to make it unsweet, I'd like to add some just plain regular club soda to it. And this club soda, I just wanted, again, talk about something that we have had in our house for a long time, and that is this club soda maker. My husband always loved to drink club soda, even, just by itself. Now we can buy cans of all kind of flavored, but for the environment, we've had this over 12 years, and, there's hardly any working parts, so it really doesn't break. But it has a CO2 container in it, and all you do is, you want to hear the charge? Hear that? I mean, my husband loves to charge it really a lot. But all you do is put this up to here and press, and it puts in the CO2 and makes your own club soda. So great for the environment, no plastic containers to throw away, no cans, no glass. But I'm just going to add some club soda to this, again, to make it less sweet. And there's not much color, so what I did, if cranberries were in season, I would add some, whoops, they're going to fall in, but that's okay. I would add some, there they go, they come to the top. So in my day job, I teach early childhood, and so I would actually, we did this with raisins in early childhood once, and what's making the cranberries float up to the top? So we're talking science. But again, you might add some rosemary in here or some other garnish. It's a cran raspberry, so I might add some fresh cranberries, but just something to have, that color and just fun. So these are our 5 mocktails. We have a blood orange mocktail. We have our Bloody Mary. We have our typical mimosa, and then our grapefruit mimosa, and then our cran raspberry. One thing I forgot to put in there is lime. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of lime juice. So it's a cran raspberry lime mocktail. All right, so I hope you got some ideas. These recipes are great. You can change them up as you please. If you like a little more hot sauce, just add what you want. And garnish with, fresh fruit and other things like that, just to make a healthy drink. All right, thanks for watching, everyone, and spending your Saturday with us. Next up is Ella. Ella, I can't wait to see what you're making, because it's always delicious. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Susanna. That looks great. Hi, everybody. My name is Ella Rodriguez, and I'm very excited to be here. I'm coming to you from Providence, Rhode Island. And today I'm going to contribute to these brunch ideas with an egg sauce. But in addition to that, I'm going to put something that I'm going to saute some veggies, and we're going to use the egg sauce to kind of top it over this dish. So to get started, I preheated one of my pans. I like the ones that have the little lines, and I just sliced some firm tofu, and I have some asparagus over here that I'm going to just put in the pan. I don't have any oil in the pan as of right now. Tofu's moist enough, and then let's see if it's going to work out. If we need to, we can spray a little bit of olive oil if we need to, but we'll try to do it without, see how it goes. And then I'm just going to put some asparagus too on the side. Let's change it up. Okay. So I'm just waiting for that to just slightly cook just a little bit. All right. And on this other pan, I have a non-stick pan. I also heat it up. I'm going to add some veggies. I have some chopped onion, some garlic, some mushrooms, and some kale. And I noticed that when I put a lot of these things together, if I just kind of put it all together and top it with a cover, I can just do a dry saute, and the steam that comes from it is going to be enough to kind of cook it without sticking. So let's see if it works today. So I'm just going to cover it up like that. So that's going to go ahead and cook a little bit for us. Oh, I forgot the garlic. I'm going to toss that in there as well. All right, and I can go ahead and give it a little minute. And I'm gonna cover it so those mushrooms kind of sweat in there. All right, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. And in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and make our sauce. Let's see, I wanna make sure there's enough heat so this kind of cooks before we actually have to present it. Yeah, my onion and garlic are at the bottom, so they're starting to stick a little bit. So if needed, I can toss a little bit of water in there. Just a pinch. That's going to help with the steam. I want to make sure it's going to be good on time. I'm checking on my tofu. It's getting the little lines on it. Great. Okay, so here is the main thing that I wanted to cook with you. So this is an egg sauce. I found that, as we all know, eggs contain a lot of cholesterol, and prior to becoming plant-based, I really enjoyed eggs. But then when I learned all the harm that they can do to my body, I decided to put them away, and that's one thing that I miss. We often hear that when people transition to eating plant-based, they say, I miss the cheese, I miss this, I miss that. Well, the one thing that I did miss was the egg, but then I created this recipe and it kind of works out for me. So I'm just going to put some water. It's a cup of water. And in order to get that fat that we used to have into the egg, I'm going to use cashews. So it's about 1 cup of cashews. And all I'm gonna do to this is just add different seasonings that I pre-measured over here. And I'm gonna show you right now what I have. So I have a little bit of turmeric, and I use this mainly for the color. So I can get that yellowish kind of color, and I mix it with paprika, but we all know that turmeric is really good and healthy for you. And then I also have this black salt, which I always forget the original name. I think it's Indian salt. It's Kalama something. I'm sorry, I should have written that down for myself for you. But it's black salt, and it has like a sulfurish type of smell. And also, because it has a lot of sulfur, it smells like eggs, and it kind of gives the egg taste. So a lot of times in vegan cooking, you're going to notice, you're going to see that chefs tend to use this kind of salt. All right, I'm taking a look at my sauteed veggies. Now there's plenty of liquid over there. They're sweating enough. I'm gonna let them sweat some more. I want to make sure the heat is high enough. The tofu is warming up. So yes, this is the secret ingredient, the black salt, because of that sulfur egg look-alike smell and taste. All right, and I put about half a teaspoon of salt, and you can adjust the flavor if you want more or less. And I only start with no salt, no regular salt, but then if I find that this didn't do the trick, then I add a little bit of pinch of salt after. So I'm gonna do it with that right now. So that's all you really need. I'm gonna go to my blender and give it a twirl while this is cooking. Should be enough. And when you make this, if you find that it's a little bit too fatty for you because of all the cashews that we added, you can play around. I noticed that anytime I want to do something that calls for nuts inside and I don't want to put a lot of it, I want to make it lower in fat, I try to replace it with maybe some butter beans or maybe some potatoes, you know, different kind of starch, but you can play around. So now, as you can see, this is kind of like the texture. It's very runny. And I usually like to save it in a jar, and it stays good in the refrigerator for a few days. All right, and over here I have an English muffin. That's what I'm going to serve it on. And I found this brand of English muffins by Dave's Killer Bread. It's made of a blend of different organic flours, and I really like it. My kids like it. So that's what we use. So I just cut them in half. I'm gonna take a look at my sauteed veggies. Let's see how they do. They're looking good. Okay. All right, I'm going to take some. My ladle fell. I have a magnetic thing and it falls out. All right, that happens in the kitchen, right? Okay, so I have some greens. Here are my kale and the mushrooms and the onions. All great cancer, anti-cancer fighting properties. So you should have that into your diet as much as possible. And then I'm going to take one of the slices of firm tofu. Now I didn't put any seasonings on it at all because I knew I was going to eat it with the sauce. But if you want to, you can go ahead and do it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm gonna put my little asparagus on the side. And then just top it out with the sauce. Just like this. And the same thing with the vegetables. I didn't add any seasonings to them. You know what? And you can eat it like that together, or you can eat it open-sided. And that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm gonna have it open-sided. So here's some mushrooms, some onions. Just kind of put it all together like that. And some extra egg sauce, and you can eat this egg sauce in many different ways. So this is one of the savory ways that I like to have it. But sometimes my kids eat it with just toasted bread. So this is how it looks. Yummy, delicious. I can't wait to try it. My kids like to have it with some toast that they just dip in, or even on tofu scramble. When we do tofu scramble, we just kind of pour it on top. So any way that, you know, people would normally eat egg yolk, regular egg. Not in baking though. So great. I hope you enjoyed this recipe and you're going to try it out. And next, I'm going to pass it on to Angelita, and she's going to make some yummy scramble for us, I believe. Thank you for watching.
Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Angie Hughes. I am in Greenville, South Carolina. The name of my company is Earth Seeds and Water. And I'd like to welcome every one of you to another show. It's So Many Brunch Foods. I hope you're enjoying everything that you've watched thus far. And all of this can be incorporated to make one huge feast, especially with Mother's Day coming up, or birthdays, tea parties, anything like that. There's so much that you can do with the recipes that all the Food for Life instructors are sharing. And every single one of them looks delicious. Thank you, Ella, for your recipe. I'm really excited about that one because it can be used in so many different ways. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And it's been a while since I've seen you, so welcome back, and I hope to see you even more. So what I'm going to be making today is fresh salsa, and then I'm also going to be making scrambled tofu with potato burritos. So a burrito is made in a flour tortilla, or if you want to turn it into tacos the way I'm used to eating it, we use corn tortillas. And if you know how to make corn tortillas at home, well, then you get a gold star. So first I'm going to make the salsa, and because of time, I've already prepped a lot of this. So I put my tomatoes, my onions, and my peppers in my air fryer. I put it at 400. Depending on your air fryer, you want to play with the temperature. So I did mine for about 10 to 12 minutes because I want to make sure it gets really blistered. Now in the recipe, I said for you guys to use serrano peppers. If you like your salsa spicy, then leave the seeds and the veins intact. If you don't like it spicy, go ahead and remove that because that's where most of the heat is. I suggest you wear gloves so the heat won't get transferred. The oils won't get on your fingers and then you accidentally touch yourself. And yes, sometimes the oils can sting just your hands. I've had that happen many a times. If you don't like serrano peppers, you can use jalapenos. If you don't like jalapenos, you can use habaneros, whichever pepper it is that you like. Just feel free to change it out. So I've got the tomatoes here, and I'm just gonna throw them in there just like that. You can also use the mortar and pestle. It's called a molcajete. If you're feeling adventurous, that's a lot of elbow grease, and that's what I used to use when I was young, but I'm not doing that today for sake of time, but the flavor is different. When using a molcajete, for some reason, the flavor is a lot different than it is when you're using your blender or your food processor. Now today I used a chile manzano or chile perron or chile canario, depending on what part of Mexico you're from or what market you go to. I'm getting ready to show you what that looks like. And you're gonna pour in the juice. Yes, you do not want to discard that. Also, thing I like about these recipes is that you can improvise. So my recipe called for garlic cloves to be roasted. I had none, and I didn't have time to run to the store, so I'm using this organic garlic paste, and I'm just going to put that in there. You're gonna add about probably the equivalent of 2 teaspoons or maybe a tablespoon. So we're gonna put all this in here. We're gonna cover it up, turn it on, and you wanna pulse. If you like your salsa chunky, then you just wanna pulse it until it reaches a consistency that you like. For when I'm making burritos or tacos, I like my salsa to be very liquefied because it goes in there better and it just gets into all the cracks and crevices. All right, and there we are done. Oh, hold on. Ooh, that smells nice and spicy. And then here I have the salt. If you're doing salt-free, please do not add it. And, it's up to you. You can add whatever amount if you just want to start off with half of what I'm telling you to put in there. You can also use sumac as a salt replacement, or you can use black lime powder. That's also another salt alternative. And I added the salt, and then I added the vegan bouillon powder. All right, and we're done. And then you just pour it into a nice little container. I'm just gonna pour it right back into the same bowl. And this will keep in your refrigerator in an airtight container. I like to keep mine in glass. Once it cools down, I put it into a glass container with a lid. For some reason, it just keeps fresher. I think it doesn't take up the whatever odor that might be in the jar, and it won't leave that in any plastic, and it won't leave the smell in a glass container like it will in a plastic one. And then you just add your cilantro to the top of it, and then just let that sit there until it's nice and cooled. So this is what it looks like. All right, so now I'm going to make the tofu and the tofu scramble with the potatoes. And hold on. There we go. And I'm using a big pan because I don't want everything to kind of steam up. Because if you don't give it enough room, then everything gets kind of mushy, and I don't like that texture, especially for burritos. Because then when you wrap everything into your burrito, it's gonna get soggy. So that's the whole reason that I do that. Oops, I almost forgot. Here's a fresh lime that you can add to your salsa. Just squeeze it in there, right up at the top. Again, as much as you want, as little as you want. If you don't want to add it in there, you don't have to. I suggest you use lime and not lemon, because lime is really gonna give it that brightness and that really authentic flavor. But again, that's up to you. Okay, so I've got my pan going, and I'm gonna use a spray bottle with water, excuse me. So I keep this full here, and this is what I use instead of oil. So I just spray my pan. You can see the pan is hot. And I'm gonna add my tofu to it, and I just took firm tofu, I drained it. And then with my hands, I crumbled it up and I added all the spices, and I've already mixed everything in here. You can do this and leave it in the refrigerator, and then you can use it the next day if you're prepping. So this is all we're doing. It doesn't take long. So while that's cooking, I'll show you the pepper that I used if you want to try it. So this is what it looks like when it's completely ripe. And I can find it at my local Latin markets, Hispanic markets. I have not been able to find it in a regular grocery store. Or you can also find it, like, sometimes you can find it at the farmer's market, but the flea market where they sell vegetables, you'll be able to find these. The flavor is as hot as a habanero, but it has a sweet undertone, so the heat doesn't get you. It's just a beautiful, smoky, floral flavor that's in this, and when you roast it, it just brightens everything up. It's absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite ones. Okay, so we're cooking this slowly. All right, we turn the heat down, and I've already pre-baked the potatoes, and then I just put them in the air fryer, and this is what they look like. And so all I'm gonna do is take them out of here and pour them right in there. And I did not spray this It's a parchment sheet. I just ordered it off of Amazon. They come in different sizes. So this makes cleanup a breeze. They come rectangles, squares, and ones for pies. I just use the round ones. It's easier for me. And all we're doing is just heating all this together. We're heating it through. Because like I said, it doesn't take long at all to cook, 5-10 minutes at the most. And you can use hash browns, and also you can use the home fries that you can buy at your local grocery store. Just make sure that they don't have any added fat to it. You know, cook those according to the package, and then make your tofu scramble and then just add it all together. All right, so look at how beautiful this is looking. Look at all those gorgeous colors. So for your tortillas, again, I said you want to use flour tortillas for a burrito, and then the corn tortillas if you're doing tacos. You can also use the wraps. You can use the spinach, the sun-dried tomato, the whole wheat, the seeded ones. So whatever you like. Just please read the ingredients in the back. Some tortillas, they use lard. So it's very important that you pay attention to that. So this is the way I heat up my tortillas, and if you don't know how to do it that way, just please use a flat grill or use a big pan and then put your tortilla in there and then heat it up. It gives it a better flavor than putting it in the microwave. All right, so this is done. Now what I'm gonna do, and again, this is how I grew up doing this. So I've been doing this since I was about 6 or 7. So we just take your tortilla and I put it right on the heat. And then you just flip it over, and what you do is you grab the edges. Use tongs if you're not used to doing this, because you will burn yourself. Do not allow your children to do this. Again, you've got to be very careful. And I do not put this on an electric stove, one of those glass tops. I've never done that. Well, let me back up. I did that one time and the tortilla stuck to everything. So then I was like, okay, I've never done it since then. So here we go. It takes 30 seconds to do it. So here it is. The tortilla is nice and done, and it's charred perfectly. Now we're going to take our our tofu scramble and potato mixture and put it on our tortilla. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the salsa. You don't have to do it this way if you don't want to, especially if you're prepping this and then there's children and they don't eat spicy. So then I put the salsa in there. So to wrap this, you're going to fold it in half. You're going to come over the top almost like you have a taco. You're going to pull it back and tuck that edge underneath the rolled part. So let me show you. You're going to tuck that underneath. All right. And then you're going to take about 1/2 inch to 1 inch of the edge and fold it in there. I'm sorry, take that flap and fold it in there. And then you take the other side and you do the same thing. And what you're doing is you're nestling all the ingredients in there. See how we're doing that? Right, and then you just finish rolling it. Now, if you're making this to eat at a later time, then what you want to do is heat up your flat grill, and you're going to put it seam down, and you just let it toast at the bottom. That way this won't open up. Or you can also put it in your air fryer at air fry about 300 for about 5 minutes at the most, seam down, and then that way they won't fall apart. And then they package up beautifully if you want to take them for lunch. And anyway, this is what I wanted to share with you. This is part of my culture. This is what I grew up with. And now I love the fact that I can still enjoy this, but now it's vegan and it's good for me. And thank you everyone for spending Saturday with us. Up next, we've got Carolyn, who is going to be making a sheet pancake. So I can't wait to see what that's about, because that sounds like a game changer for me. Again, thank you so much. Have a wonderful Saturday. And happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers out there. Bye.
Hi, I'm Carolyn in Montgomery. Thanks, Angelita. That looked delicious, and I cannot wait to try it and everything else everybody made today, because it all looked so good. We could have such a fun party if we all got together and lived anywhere near each other. All right, so today I am making, as Angelita said, a sheet pan pancake. So have you ever noticed when you make pancakes, and if you've got, a family of 4, then there might be a few pancakes ready at a time. But in this case, you've got an entire pan of pancakes all ready at the same time, and you just cut them in squares. So yeah, they're going to be square, unless you want to take a round cookie cutter and cut little circles out of the sheet pan pancake. That would be fine too. But we'll make square pancakes, but it's in one big sheet pan. So we're going to start with measuring flour, because I think that that's something that a lot of people don't know how to do correctly. So we'll talk about that really quickly. We have 2.5 cups of, I'm using whole wheat pastry flour, or actually a blend of whole wheat pastry flour and all-purpose flour, and it's organic. So it's 2.5 cups. And when you measure flour, a lot of people make the mistake of just scooping it up like that. And that's going to be too much flour. So the way you actually measure flour is to take a spoon and measure your flour into the measuring cup. So I've already actually measured this, but take a spoon and scoop it in gently. And you want to get way too much, fill it up way too much. And then once it's in there, you don't want to tap it and pack it down. Just take a knife and scrape off the top. So that is 1/2 cup. So we're not packing it in there. I've already measured this, like I said. So it's interesting when you take a big scoop of flour and measure how much you got on a scale, and then you do it this way. This is much less flour doing it this way. So if you add too much, things might come out a little dense. So like I said, you just gently scoop it in with a spoon, then level it off on the top. So I've already measured all of this. So that's 2.5 cups. And then I'm adding a whole tablespoon of baking powder, which sounds like a lot, but it's not, because that's 2.5 cups of flour, and 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of iodized sea salt, which I use. Make sure you use iodized, especially if you are completely plant-based. You want to make sure you're getting iodine in your diet. And then just take a fork and mix all your dry ingredients lightly. Okay, and then we'll set that aside for just a second. And then the wet ingredients. So there's actually also a difference, between, I want to make sure everybody knows this, there's a difference between dry measuring cups and wet measuring cups. So this is a dry measuring cup. You don't want to measure flour in something like this. So because the lines are lower and you won't be able to level it off. So this is a wet or liquid measuring cup. And so to get an accurate measure in a liquid measuring cup, we have 2 cups of any kind of non-dairy milk, but you're going to have to get down at eye level and check and make sure that it's a level 2 cups. So it's a little bit different than a dry measuring cup. Okay, so we have 2 cups of non-dairy milk. I have a whisk. You could also use a fork, and I'm adding 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. We're not actually trying to get it to curdle, so it's going to have some other stuff in here too. 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And then I'm just going to whisk that up. All right, and then 2 tablespoons of date syrup or maple syrup, your preferred liquid sweetener. I'm using this kind of date syrup. it's really easy to make your own date syrup, but to make it faster, you can buy this at Costco. You can buy it at a lot of grocery stores, but 2 tablespoons of date syrup or maple syrup. So we're adding that in. I'll scrape it out to get all of that yummy date syrup. And like I said, you don't have to buy the date syrup. You can make it yourself from medjool dates and a little bit of water. It's pretty easy. All right. And then we have a couple of tablespoons of applesauce. So we'll add that in. And 1/4 of a cup of just unsweetened, this is actually just plain unsweetened homemade yogurt. You could, it's made out of soy milk, but you could use a vanilla yogurt. You could use store-bought, but it's just 1/4 of a cup of yogurt. And then we'll mix that all together. And I think Dilip posted earlier his video, his recipe. I think it was, I'm not sure if it's a video or if it's a recipe link, but to making his own yogurt, so you can see him do that. Okay. And then there's one other ingredient that is optional. So whisk all those wet ingredients together. And then to the dry ingredients, you could, if you would like to, add 2 tablespoons of chia seeds that have been ground up. So it turns out chia seeds, really good source of omega-3 fatty acids. You're going to get more bioavailability of those omega-3s if you grind them up first. You could put them in whole if you want to. Chia seeds kind of help hold things together, and that's an optional ingredient. And I went ahead and ground it up and added it to my dry ingredients. Okay. And then I have a bunch of toppings ready too. So we're going to get those going in just a second. I'm going to add the wet ingredients to the dry. Okay. And then get that all stirred up. So you don't want to over stir it. So it doesn't need to be mixed extremely well. It can still have a few lumps in it. That's fine. But we just want to incorporate all of the dry into the wet. And as soon as everything looks like it's been thoroughly moistened, that's good enough. So that baking soda that was in the dry ingredients and the apple cider vinegar in the wet ingredients are going to react with each other, just like that elementary school science project where you make a volcano. But it's not quite as drastic as that in your pancakes, but you will start seeing bubbles in the pancake batter from that. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's pretty well mixed up. Okay, so at this point, you want to make sure you have your toppings ready and to be able to decorate your pancake. The cool thing about this recipe is that for making pancakes for a crowd of people, everybody can have their own signature pancake. And they'll all be ready at the same time. So I'm going to hand this, get that out of the way. And then I have taken this big pan, I believe it's an 18 by 12, 17 and a half by 11 and a half, I guess, to be exact. And then I have parchment paper. So I'm lining the pan with parchment. And then we're just going to pour the pancake batter. And we could do the down shot here. We're going to pour the pancake batter into the pan. Get my spatula. So we'll pour it all in. So yes, it's one big pancake. It's not a whole bunch of little pancakes on a pan. One huge pancake. All right, we'll get that all on there. And then spread it out to the edges. Still kind of bubbling from that baking soda and vinegar combination in there. Okay, so spread it out to the edges. And in the meantime, you want to go ahead and heat your oven up to 500 degrees, which sounds really hot. And we're actually not baking it at 500 degrees. So we're just heating the oven up that hot while we do this, because we want the oven nice and, whoops, got stuck. There we go. We want the oven nice and hot before we put it in, but right before you put it in, you're going to turn the oven down to 400. Okay, that's relatively even. There we go. Okay, and then this is the fun part where we can, if you'll do the down shot, we can show lots of fun things you can do with this. So in one quadrant, we might have strawberries. And you could, if you want to, put all the toppings all over the whole thing. That would be fine. You don't have to like stick with quadrants. But if you have somebody who only likes strawberries and doesn't like bananas, or somebody who only likes blueberries and nothing else, then you can customize this. Whoops, I'm a little too far over there. Okay. And then maybe in this section, we'll do some bananas and push them down into the batter just a little bit. There we go. Okay. And then one other quadrant could be all blueberries. So we'll take blueberries and sprinkle them all over this section. And there's another really fun topping you can do, which is a cinnamon swirl. Okay, so cinnamon swirl, I've already made the topping for the cinnamon swirl. It's basically just a teaspoon of cinnamon powder and 2 teaspoons of maple syrup or agave, whatever liquid. I guess you could use the date syrup, but it's not quite as liquidy as the maple syrup. So this is a little easier to use maple syrup, and just drizzle it all over whatever section you're going to add it to. You could do it over the whole thing. That would be fine. And then take a knife and drag it through to make a swirl. There, really pretty. Okay, so now we have cinnamon swirl. It's good. Okay, so this whole thing will then go in the oven at 500, but turn it down immediately to 400 and bake it for about 20 minutes or so. You want to put a toothpick or one of those cake testers in it right in the middle or near the middle after about 20 minutes. And if it comes out clean, it's ready. So that's what it looks like before going in. And then I'll set that aside. And what it looks like when it comes out is this one that I just took out. So you can see if we do the down shot, it's all baked and looks yummy. So I will cut some up. So I'm going to take, you could use a knife or a spatula and cut whatever flavor you like out and taste it. So we'll try the banana. I'm going to cut a section out, and it's on parchment, so it's not going to stick to the bottom of the pan. There we go. And then I like to warm up my maple syrup a little bit. So there's warm maple syrup. You could drizzle over it. You could also add more fresh fruit and maybe some chopped walnuts, a little squirt of some plant-based whipped cream to make it a party. And it's just delicious, delicious. So, and like I said, you could add all of the toppings to the whole thing if you want to, but this is a fun way to customize it. So you can watch, my husband and I do a YouTube channel called Strickland's and Friends, and the and is a little ampersand thing that looks like a treble clef. And so if you want to see more of our videos or hear any medical information from him, he is a physician who is board certified in lifestyle medicine. So we have some videos on that channel too, but this is just a great way to feed pancakes to a crowd. And you know, everything's ready at the same time. So not everybody is, you know, one person getting pancakes and everybody else is sitting and waiting. So today during our Q&A, we're giving away the magazine, the Vegetarian Resource Group magazine, and also Brenda Davis's new cookbook or new book. I think it's about protein. Dilip can tell you more about that, but ask a question so you can be entered in the drawing in our Q&A. So if you have any questions about sheet pan pancakes, let me know. And the recipes are all on the recipe document, which is in the comments and also on our Facebook page. So thanks for watching and happy brunching.
All right. So let's enter our Q&A part of the show. And today it's just Carolyn and I who are doing the Q&A. So let's see. Linda, go ahead and I guess questions are coming in. So Adrian has said she wants to make a pancake. Yeah, I think that's great. What a cool idea. Is this something you came up by yourself, Carolyn?
You know, I'm on Instagram all the time because I have an Instagram page called Tofu Chic, which my daughter came up with that name. But I see things like this that come by and I think, wow, what a cool idea. And so most of them are not vegan. And so I've just veganized one of the ideas I saw. And then, you know, I kind of combine a bunch of things and then make it my own.
So Linda Strickland has a question for you.
Linda?
Must be Brian's sister, I guess.
No,
So,
Brian's mother.
Sorry?
Brian's mother.
Oh,
Often mistaken for my sister.
Often mistaken for his sister, but it
hello,
is
Mrs.
mother.
Strickland. So let's write Mrs. Strickland's name down. So you're in the drawing for a prize, and your question is, can you use buckwheat flour? So Carolyn?
I think you could. You could also use gluten-free flour. So yeah, I mean, if you could use a gluten-free flour blend, and I think that would work pretty. I haven't tried it, but I do think you could use buckwheat flour as well. You might have to let it sit because, you know, buckwheat tastes a little better, I think, when it sits for a while. So you could let the batter just sit before you do this. But yeah, that would work.
I don't know if you've ever tried some of these fonio, which comes from Africa, which is kind of used as like people serve quinoa. But I wonder if something like that would work or not.
I don't think teff flour would work, but I don't know. I've never tried it, but because I know teff flour also has to be fermented a little bit too. The batter has to kind of be fermented, at least when making that really cool Ethiopian bread that we like so much. Injera. Yeah. So I know that has to be fermented, and buckwheat pancakes. So my mother-in-law makes wonderful buckwheat pancakes, and she usually lets the batter sit overnight and ferment a little bit. So I think you could actually take that same batter and pour it into a pan and do the same technique to taking the oven up to 500, dropping it down to 400 right as you put the pan in the oven. I mean, it'd be worth a try. We could try that, find out what happens. So, yeah.
Let me make a comment about the giveaway. So Brenda's a good friend of mine, Brenda Davis, RD, and I also know her son, Corey. So I'm really excited. I actually haven't had a chance to ask her about this collaboration. Doesn't that sound like a great idea, Carolyn, to do a project with in your case, your daughter or your son? And so this is the new book. And I have a recipe in here, actually.
Cool.
So Vasanto Molina is also awesome. I've spent some time with her as well on the West Coast in British Columbia. So this is their newest book. Brenda and Vasanto have collaborated for years, and Corey's Brenda's son. So this is our giveaway today, and it's a beautiful book full of information and recipes. So we're giving this away. French Canadian pea soup.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I love pea soup.
Veggie sausage and sauerkraut soup. Now, one thing I wanted to say about this is everything that Brenda or Vasanto do, and now Corey is going to be great. Brenda's won a number of books, like there's a Canada Book Award or something like that. But what I wanted to say is, let's talk for a second about protein. Protein, I'm glad she's written this book and talks about protein, but most of us get too much protein. So generally, this is not something you need to worry a lot about. I'm saying the book is important. The book is a good one to get. But when you tell your friends that you're eating plant-based and they say, well, are you getting enough protein or calcium? Almost certainly you are if you're eating a reasonable diet.
Right.
Okay. So here's a question from Janice, and I'm going to write your name down, Janice. So
yes, you can freeze or refrigerate them. Yes. I can see the question on the screen. So yes, definitely to freeze them, I would probably put them in a freezer safe container, one of those freezer bags, make sure you get all the air out. And I wouldn't keep it in the freezer longer than a few months. And in the refrigerator, they last for a few days, up to a week maybe. And then you can just gently reheat them, maybe in a dry pan. If you're going to microwave them, don't microwave them too long because bread in the microwave becomes really tough. And so because it has flour, I'm afraid they might become tough. So sometimes I do actually microwave them for about 30 seconds, 20 seconds maybe, and just, just to get them a little bit heated, or put them in my toaster oven and heat them up that way. So yes, you absolutely can, because we've been eating them all week because I've been practicing this. So yeah, we've been eating a lot of pancakes this week. So
Carolyn, unfortunately,
yes.
you and I haven't had each other's cooking, but from all I know about you, you don't need the practice. I think everything you make is really good.
I was just trying different ways to do it. I was trying to figure out, should I use flax? Should I use yogurt? Should I use, I was just trying to come up with which is the best. So I had one that I did earlier this week where instead of using the yogurt, I used Pellegrino, like a sparkling water in it. That was interesting. So, but I think I like the yogurt better because it has a little more protein that way.
Do you make your own yogurt like I do?
Yes, in my Instant Pot.
Me too.
Yeah, you're the one who taught me how to do that, Dylan.
Oh, okay. I have a new Instant Pot, which lets me, that's my daughter and me, a new Instant Pot where I can control with my phone. It's pretty cool.
Oh, cool. I need one of those. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I like that.
Adrian has a question. So if I want to make a pancake for myself this way, can I use a smaller pan?
Yeah, you could just cut the recipe in half, I would think, and just use a smaller pan. So in fact, I have a smaller, you want to make sure it's one of these pans with the sides on it like this, like a regular sheet cake, a regular sheet pan that doesn't have edges. It's just over the side. But so yeah, if you have a smaller pan that has edges, you could just cut, the recipe in half. In fact, I do have 2 smaller pans, so I probably could have done that and just divided the recipe in half. But yeah, luckily I have a friend coming over here in a little bit to get some pancakes because we have so many pancakes. So
I wish you lived nearby.
I know, I would give you some. I don't think things would mail very well.
And I'd give you some triple cross tangerines.
Yes, exactly. We just trade. I guess I could pack it in ice and send you some. But yeah,
your mother-in-law says
really good.
She's going to try this next weekend. Yeah, the way you swirled it was really neat. This is one area of cooking I don't know much about. I've done a little bit of baking, cookies and cakes, but not a lot. And so those kinds of tricks are new to me. That's pretty cool. I never thought that you would put cinnamon, and yeah, that's really neat. And one thing cool about that trick is
coffee cake. I do it with coffee cakes too. If I make a big pan of coffee cake with a crumble on top, you can do the same cinnamon swirl over the top of a coffee cake, and then you just drag a knife through it and make a pretty decoration on the top.
That's neat. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's nice how beautiful it looks when you do it. I never really knew how people did that. And one thing that's really nice is that the cinnamon reduces the glycemic index. So when you're using maple syrup, which of course does have natural sugars, you're slowing down the absorption of the maple syrup.
Exactly. I was actually going to mention, you could, if you want to, into the dry ingredients, add a 4th teaspoon of cinnamon or cardamom, or, play with it and add different spices, nutmeg, some allspice. That would be really good. So you could add some different flavoring into it.
That's one of my secrets for cooking too, is when you have a recipe you like, make it your own and add some additional ingredients. For example, guacamole, in Mexico they pronounce it guacamole, I believe, is I love my guacamole, and I do something that's, I don't think it's standard, I don't know if anybody else does it, is I put some rosemary in it. And the rosemary makes a really big difference. The secret for my guacamole is the rosemary. I don't always use rosemary, but I like to use rosemary. And I usually use 3 different kinds of onions, like a red onion, a sweet onion, maybe a shallot or something like that, plus garlic. And how can you go wrong with a good avocado?
I know. I love to add roasted garlic to guacamole.
Yes. And it's easy to roast garlic in an oven or in a pressure cooker.
Exactly.
Very easy. Let's see. You have an opportunity to ask more questions to be in the drawing. I have a couple of questions. Can you talk a little bit about curdling? You mentioned that in passing.
Oh, well, I wasn't trying to curdle it, but you can. So if you have a recipe that calls for buttermilk, like you have a buttermilk pancake recipe, for example, and it calls for 1 cup of buttermilk, and you don't want to buy actual cow buttermilk, you can make your own. So you would do a cup of soy milk, or one of the a little bit higher fat milks curdle better. So almond milk doesn't curdle quite as well as soy milk. Rice milk definitely doesn't curdle very well because there's not much fat in it. A cashew milk might curdle pretty well. Oat milk can curdle, but if you really want to make a really good plant-based buttermilk, then use soy milk because it curdles great. And so you would add 1 cup of buttermilk to about a teaspoon of either lemon juice or apple cider vinegar, and then whisk it up and let it sit. And when you come back to it, get all your other ingredients ready. And when you come back to it, you've got curded up milk. It looks like buttermilk, and it works the same way in a recipe that you would have used buttermilk.
Kathy, thanks for commenting about if you have a recipe, write it down. A lot of people have like index cards and they can update it, that kind of thing, keep it in the kitchen. I know some people who have kitchens where there's like a desk there, so you can put cookbooks and have no paper, things of that nature. But change, Kathy, your comment into a question, and you can be in the running for her prizes. One thing I do, I'm bad at many things, but I'm pretty good at coming up with recipes. So I like to always create something new that my wife's never had. I've never repeated dinner for her. I've known her for almost 19 years, and she gets something new every day. And one of the tricks for that is I will use new ingredients. I'll put things in new ways. And as I said, I'm bad at many things, but for some reason I have a good knack for how to combine things. And I recognize a lot of people, who take cooking classes or who follow, cookbooks and all, like things written down and like to go step by step. I generally don't. I like to kind of wing it and make it up. But everybody does things differently. But even if you're a recipe follower, change some of the things. If you have a recipe that calls for salt, put some black salt, and you'll get kind of the sulfurous taste. If it calls for garlic, put garlic and shallot. If it calls for onion, try different kinds of onions. So there's tricks like that to really step up your cooking. So Kathy has a question. I'm going to write your name down, Kathy. This is one of the first shows Karen is missing. She's actually out. She couldn't be on it. She doesn't have internet. So Karen, I'm taking her role, and I'm going to write as our 4th person, Kathy Sabo. So Kathy asks, why is it that buttermilk makes a recipe better? Does it have to do with lift or rising?
Really good question. I haven't used actual cow buttermilk in like decades. So it's always kind of grossed me out, honestly. But, just the curds of stuff in it, I wasn't ever sure what that was. But I think it has to do with, because the way it curdles, there's an acidic quality to it, which does make things rise a little more. There's also a little more fat in buttermilk.
Oh, it looks like Carolyn's frozen. Can you guys see me, but not her? Or am I frozen too? From my point of view, Carolyn's frozen. If we can get some acknowledgement from the audience, what's going on, I'll send her a quick text.
And that flavor,
there we go. Carolyn, you've been frozen.
You were too.
Oh, I was frozen?
Yeah, you were too. I saw little spinning circles in front of both of us.
Well, Kathy's saying I can see me, but not her. So you need to repeat what you just said.
I can, well, let's see. Yep, I can see both of us now. Okay. So buttermilk, I think, adds a flavor profile that is a little bit different. And when in a buttermilk biscuit, for example, that flavor of that little quality of acidic hint to it, plus there's
I think we're having some problems with Carolyn's connection.
Fat, plus the acidic.
There you go. You broke up again, Carolyn.
Oh, it's so weird. Okay. Yeah, I see little spinning circles in front of both of us sometimes. But anyway, yeah, the acidic quality of buttermilk does interact with the baking soda in biscuits. And usually when you're making like biscuits, there's baking soda in them or baking powder, but that usually both, actually, baking soda, baking powder, and the acidic nature of the buttermilk interacts with it and helps it puff up and get more fluffy and soft. So
Kathy's suggesting it's some nature of her question. I wonder if you'd get a similar effect with yogurt. I love making my own fresh vegan yogurt. I make it all the time. I keep an eye in the refrigerator like I'm just about due. I like to make a fresh batch after 4 days, 5 days, maybe a week, and I'm getting to that point. So, and sometimes I don't do it as often as I should, but I like cooking with it sometimes. Sometimes I'll because liquids, especially acidic liquids, are good deglazers. And so since I don't use oil in my cooking, then I'll put when I'm cooking towards the end, I'll add something acidic often, maybe tomato sauce or a little bit of vinegar or something like that. But yogurt should do the same trick. Adding a little bit of yogurt should release anything that's sticking to the pan, I would think. I have to say something. When we say we don't use oil, it's probably not zero. So I had a hand cranked popcorn popper, and you need to put a drop or two of oil. So I do have oil. And before I was a Food for Life instructor, I'd go through one of those bottles of oil, I don't know, every 3 months or something like that. And now my oil lasts too long. I mean, it sometimes, it doesn't go rancid, but I'm surprised it doesn't. A bottle of oil for me lasts
years.
over a year. Yeah,
Years.
well over a year.
So what kind of hand crank, when you say hand crank popcorn popper, was it on the top of the stove? Yeah. Did you know that my great grandfather invented that?
That's right. I think you told me that.
Isn't that cool? Yeah, it's in the
That is so-
Smithsonian. We actually have the paperwork on that from the Smithsonian. He invented the stovetop popcorn popper.
And you have another relative who invented something else, I think.
No, same guy. He invented a lot of stuff. Yeah, his name was Joseph Miller. He invented a ton of stuff. The fly swatter. He invented
that's what I was
twist
thinking.
handled fly swatter. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. But I learned a trick recently. We love Salad Master pans. And so one of the people who markets Salad Master told me that you do need to put a drop or two of oil, a couple drops of oil in a Salad Master pan, and then you put popcorn at the bottom and you put it on medium heat and you cover it, but you leave a little gap and you let it cook and you don't stir it at all. And it's amazing. I haven't perfected it yet, but my daughter watched me do it once, and you let it sit, you let it cook for maybe 20, it could be 10, 15 minutes, and it makes beautiful popcorn. But you do need a little bit of oil at the bottom for that. But that's just like a drop or two for a big pan full of popcorn.
It's my favorite snack, popcorn. I love popcorn.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay.
So Kathy's asking, just add vinegar. That would be okay.
So add vinegar to popcorn or a vinegar to
your question for curdling.
Yes, vinegar or lemon juice to make soy milk curdle.
Acid, yeah.
So one cup of soy milk to a teaspoon of vinegar or lemon juice.
Kathy's also asking, she's heard that Worcestershire sauce adds acidity needed to prevent curdling.
Oh, that's interesting. Huh. They do make vegan Worcestershire sauce. So
Yeah.
I actually found it locally at one of our regular grocery stores. Had vegan Worcestershire sauce. I was
In
shocked.
Alabama, of all places.
Alabama. Vegan Worcestershire. Couldn't believe it. So yeah, because I was trying to figure out how in the world am I going to make my own Worcestershire sauce. I wasn't even sure what was in that. But luckily,
I love. I wish that Angelita were in the Q&A, and I know she's traveling someplace, so she probably didn't get us. I sent her a text message. I missed what pepper she used. Did you catch that, Carolyn? It looked beautiful.
Yeah, I saw that yellow bumpy pepper she was talking about, and I really I'll text her and ask her because I know she had to go somewhere, but I wanted to text her and ask her, what is that? Because I have never seen it look like a bell pepper that had too many lumps on it. So
well, she said it's hot, but it's also sweet, and the sweetness cuts the heat.
Right.
That sounds nice.
Right. And we have a really interesting international grocery store here. So I wonder if they would have it. I have to go and look, but I can't remember what I have to go rewind the video and watch it later, what kind of pepper she said that was. But,
yeah, and that's right. You guys can watch our shows after the fact too. I often do, because since I'm kind of doing the mechanics of it, I actually miss a lot of the presentation because I'm looking at the technical side. Oh, there's a comment. Let me project it, or let me respond. I focus on the micro and I miss the big picture. So even though I'm with you guys with the shows, I'm not watching as carefully as you because I'm distracted. So unfortunately, I get enough that I'm very tempted. Like my daughter was saying right before we started, she was saying to you, she wants to make the pancakes.
Right.
And it's a great idea, Carolyn. It's so cool that you can, because I don't make pancakes often. Nowadays, when we have pancakes, it's really my daughter who makes it. But when I used to make pancakes, it's like, okay. And it's the same thing with dosas. I don't know if you know what a dosa is. It's a South Indian grape. You should make them one at a time. So if you have company, then you make one, and they're eating, everybody's waiting, and the polite thing to do is just to eat, because if you wait, it gets cold.
It's cold, exactly.
One, right? So with dosas in particular, you can kind of do it with pancakes. With dosas, you don't make a whole bunch and pile them up, and you can, but it loses its flavor and it loses crispiness.
Well, that explains why when we go to the Indian restaurant here in town and we order dosas, one person gets some and then a little bit later somebody else gets some. That makes sense.
Wait. You shouldn't
Okay.
wait. You should eat it right away. So
I wonder if
something
you
like,
could do doses in a really big pan and then just cut them into. cut 'em-
well, they make really big dosas, which
They are. Yeah.
they're called, what are they called? They're really big dosas, and they often don't have filling. I forgot what they're called. They're really big. They're like half the size of the table.
Right. There, I know our local Indian restaurant here only makes them a few days of the week because there's so much work. So I think it's just Saturday and Sunday nights.
They're
that
not
they
so
make.
much work. It's just a matter of fermenting it. It's actually,
okay.
yeah. I mean, they're clearly not a South Indian restaurant. If they were, it maybe work for them because it's not their standard menu. But if it's on your standard
Right.
menu, it's not so. It's fun. It's not so much.
Hey, I'm not going to complain. They have a vegan menu, so I'm I'm happy when I go there. They'll
It's
make
so-
vegan doses for me.
It's so easy with South Indian food in particular to find great Indian food. I mean, all cuisines, it should be easy to get vegan food.
Right.
But South Indian is easier than North Indian.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Kathy, there is this thing, The Real Truth About Health, and it's an excellent conference. Yeah. And many of them are whole food plant-based docs. I'm glad you found that. So
Mhm.
I've watched many of these speakers, and I know it's ongoing. So I'm glad you're connected to that.
Oh, the Food Revolution Network just ended this past week. That was really good too. That went on for about 8 days, I think.
So Judith has a question. I'm going to add you to our list, and we'll probably do the drawing in a few minutes. So Judith asked, "Do you need to roast oatmeal?" And I did talk about that in my segment. I like doing it. You don't need to, but what I do, we were up really early this morning. My daughter had the SAT. We were up really early, and so even then this morning I roasted the oatmeal. Right, so I put oatmeal in a pan with no liquids or anything, and I put it on medium heat for about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. I didn't let it roast longer because I don't wake up well early in the morning and I don't have that much time to prepare. So I just let it roast for a minute or so, but it does taste better. And roast it until you can smell this kind of toasty smell, and it improves the flavor of the oatmeal. And I do that sometimes. I do that usually, actually. Even today when I was in a rush, I did it for a minute or so. Yeah, the Food Revolution is on replay.
It is. It was really good. Very
Yeah.
good. And good recipes at the bottom. So if you scroll all the way to the bottom of that website, there's recipes that they've posted. And I made one yesterday, actually, the cauliflower immunity boosting soup. It was delicious. So yeah, get the
Speaking of
recipe.
recipes, I think I'm about to do the drawing, but right after the drawing, Carolyn, let's talk a little bit about our immersion.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Because we're doing that. But
Okay.
I have as names, Linda is my number 1, and number 2 is Janice, number 3 is Adrian, number 4 is Kathy, and number 5 is Judith. And so I'm in charge today because Karen's gone. I hope I can do as good a job as she does. Let's give away the book first. So the book is your last chance to ask questions and be entered. So let's give away this wonderful book by Brenda Davis, Visanto Molina, and Corey Davis, Plant Power Protein. Brenda sometimes joins our show. She always writes appendix for us. I got an email from her a couple hours ago. She's in a isolated part of Canada with no internet.
Oh, no.
So yeah, she was telling me next year she goes to this cabin, she may try to arrange internet because she falls behind with her work. So I sent her a note back saying, "We're giving away your book." I don't think she's gotten it yet though. But sometimes she joins during the show. And remember, wasn't it last time or time before she came on and she it was great having
I think it was during one of the kids' shows she came on. I don't know that she's come on during ours.
No, it was during our show. And then
Was
during
it?
the kids show, we actually had her twice, I think, as a guest. We haven't had guests on our show. Maybe we should. Carolyn's husband would be an awesome guest. So Carolyn's husband is a plant-based doctor. So maybe some
Lifestyle medicine doctor.
Yeah, we should do that sometime, right? And so, especially since his mom watches. So
Exactly.
your son did good. All right, so let's do the drawing. I'm going to use random.org, and we have 5 people. So I'm going to say 1 to 5, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it. This first one doesn't count, just to show you how it works. So random.org, 1 to 5. So let's run it. So the winner, if the pseudo winner is number 5. If this really counted, then Judith would have won the book. But I just want to show you how it works. So ready? How about, since you're the musician, how about a drum roll from you, Carolyn? Oh, I hear you. All right. There, now I see you.
Yeah.
All right. So let's draw. The winner is from 1 to 5. It's number 3. 3 is Adrian. So Adrian, You won the book.
Yay.
Congratulations, Adrian. So what you need to do if you win, let me put it up, is if you win a prize, then please go ahead and email Karen and me both. And you can email any of us by taking our first name, like Carolyn, at somanycooks.com. So Adrian, please acknowledge that you're here and that you will be sending us an email that you won. And what we need from you is your mailing address. So Adrian, you won the book. Please email Dilip at somanycooks.com and Karen at somanycooks.com. We'll pause a second and see if Adrian is here. If you're not here, Adrian, we're gonna draw again, but we'll give you a moment to say, I'm here. Oh, here's a comment. Maybe that's Adrian.
I'm here.
Yep. Excellent. Here. So Adrian, congratulations, and look forward to getting your email. All right, then let's do the second drawing. The second drawing, I don't have it in front of me. Do you have a VRG Vegan Journal magazine with you?
Not handy, no.
So I love, I'm friends with the folks who run Vegetarian Resource Group. In fact, I think Charles Stoller, who's one of the guys, is a couple. I think he and I look a little bit alike. Have you ever seen his picture, Carolyn?
I think so. But if you look alike, then I guess I just look at you.
We look a little bit alike. I'm really excited because last year they do this annual for kids, this essay competition. And my daughter won first prize on, she wrote an essay.
Oh, that's right. I remember. I got to read that essay. That's really good.
Did you read her essay?
I did. You sent it to me. Yes.
Cool. So anyhow, they're giving out a 1-year subscription, and they don't keep your name after the year, or they won't keep sending it to you. So those of you who win the magazine, it's a great magazine. If you want to continue after a year, you should consider subscribing. I like it as plain. I don't think they take any, actually, I don't want to say that for sure. They don't take any advertising. I can't remember for sure, but it's matter of fact. It's like there's this new product, there's this. They do talk about whole food, plant-based. Their focus is on vegan. It's not necessarily all on health. They do have a lot of articles on health, but they'll talk about, Greek vegan cuisine, and they'll have dishes which may have more oil than we're comfortable, for example, with, but it's all vegan. And it's an excellent magazine. I really like it. So the winner, I'm going to draw again. And Adrian, if it's you, you will draw one more time. You don't get 2 prizes. The winner is number 2, and number 2 is Janice. So Janice, are you here? And Janice, if you're here, then congratulations to you. We need an email from you to Dilip at somanycooks.com. Thanks, Bernadette. A little bit, right? We have 2 eyes. So congratulations to Janice. Janice, please acknowledge that you're still here. Okay. You won last money. Did you mean you won the subscription last time? So let us know what you mean by that. Maybe. Oh, you won. Did you win the same thing last month, the same subscription?
Whoops.
Janice, what we'll do is email us your address. I guess we already have it. And we will give you a choice. We will give you a choice to extend the subscription to 2 years, or we'll give you also a subscription to Veg News. We'll do either one. Actually, I'll make it even sweeter. Janice, you have a choice of getting a 2-year subscription, a subscription to Veg News, or we'll also send you plant-powered protein. Any of those 3 that you would like. So in your email, let us know what you would like, and we'd be happy to do that. Okay. So please, Janice and Adrian, email us, and let's spend a minute telling everybody about the immersion, Carolyn.
So when are they, Dilip?
Coming up. Watch this space.
Up. Yes, watch this space. We don't have exact dates yet, I guess.
We will very soon.
Very soon. Okay, so in August, we will be going to Asheville and staying in a really big house. So how many people do you think we could accommodate?
About 12 to 14.
12 to 14 people. Okay. And then we will be there for, I believe it's all day Thursday, all day Friday.
Well, we haven't, it may not be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be 3.5 days.
Oh, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
It could be. Yeah.
Okay.
Depends on the availability. We're still working that out. But let's talk about basically what is it about?
Right. So we will be there showing people for several days, not sure which days yet, how to make all kinds of yummy plant-based things. We'll be taking some hikes. We'll be doing some exercise. I'm actually a certified fitness instructor and about to finish my certification in health and wellness coaching. So we'll be, possibly doing some coaching sessions. But yeah, we will have some days together where we can really be immersed in a plant-based lifestyle, and yeah, it should be really fun. We'll have a very good time in a beautiful setting.
Yeah, it's lots of fun. I'm on the advisory board of the Rochester Lifestyle Medicine Institute, and they arrange all the logistics in terms of the website and taking the reservations and all that. We have a fair price, I think, compared to what I've seen other people do, and it's all inclusive. We haven't set the price this year. Last year was $1,200, and it may go up a little bit. And the way it works is you show up and in the afternoon, and when you come, there's a bunch of treats that we've been making for you, snacks. So, for example, last year we had a big bean dip and a bunch of cut vegetables, things like that. And then you can get settled, and then around 5 we get started and we talk, we do introductions, and then Carol and I will make dinner. We'll make all, the way we cook, whole food, plant-based, vegan, no added fat, and we serve and chat. And then we retreat to watching some videos. I made a movie called Code Blue, and there's many other great movies, Forks Over Knives, Game Changers, many other films. So we show a film. Carolyn and I will be making maybe popcorn, desserts. I mean, both. We'll be making some snacks and ice cream, all great stuff, no added fat. And we bring it to you and serve you. And then the next morning, I'm not an early person. Carolyn is. So when you wake up, if you want to wake up early at 4 or 5 or whatever ungodly hour, you wake up that early, don't you, Carolyn?
No.
3?
I do not wake up that early, Dilip. I wake up earlier than you do, but I don't wake up.
So
that's what time you go to bed, isn't it?
If you're strange like Carolyn and you wake up really early
at 6:30 or 7, like the normal
Yikes.
person.
Only time I like to look at it at that time is the inside of my eyeballs, my eyelids.
Well, when you get up early, we could do some morning exercise, some yoga, or take a walk, or some meditation, or whatever, and then we'll have breakfast, and then hopefully Dilip will get up, and then we'll have some activities. We'll make lunch. We'll have all the food will be included, plus lots of education. So.
And if you want to sleep later, we always keep, before I go to bed, I put breakfast things out. So if you want to grab something, and it's good to see Susan here. Susan's been a great helper for the immersions too. These couldn't happen without her. In fact, she's just amazing with a lot of the prep and getting us, getting us going. So thank you, Susan. And I'll let you know the dates soon as well. So we do have simple breakfast foods out, like cereals and plant milks and things like that you can help yourself to if you do wake up at some ungodly hour. And then we start the program, I think, at 9 or something, which is still pretty early. And then we make a hot breakfast. We make, oatmeal for one day, for example, and a variety of other things. And then there's some talking and then some discussion on some topics and then lunch. And then there's free time in the afternoon to go for a hike or we give you lots of books to take home. And so you may want to just relax and read one of the books or walk around the property, or we arrange in Asheville to go on the Blue Ridge Parkway. And then in the evening we have dinner and we just repeat it. So it's a lot of fun. And it's great to go become practical. This is what we're doing. And we learned about this and how do we practice it. And I'm glad you guys watch our show and we try to share that here. But in the immersion, we're actually living together and we're talking about all sorts of interesting questions come up. Like I share a household with somebody maybe who's not vegan. How do you handle it? Or, oh, that's where you put this in the refrigerator. Or, oh, that doesn't have to be refrigerated. We can go into lots of detail. And it's nice working with Carolyn because she's ungodly early and I'm kind of normal. So, and so if you are also super early, you can hang out with her early in the morning. And if you want to hang out.
I think I'm normal and you're ungodly late.
Susan, why don't you be the judge? Because you know me anyhow. And so if you want to hang out like after the movie, I can stay up and chat. If we have a hot tub, we did last year, you can go in the hot tub and just talk quietly. And if you want to wake up early, you can do that too. So anyhow, can we tell everybody what our next show is? We know the show in June. It's the first week.
June
I think.
3rd.
And
June
remember what the
3rd.
topic is?
It is cool desserts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ungodly early is not. I wake up at 6:30 or 7. That's not ungodly early. That's normal.
Very early.
You are very late. You get up at like 11. That's very late.
Not usually that late.
Lunchtime for me. Oh,
Yeah, I
my
have a
goodness.
strange schedule.
Yes, you stay up until like 3 in the morning, don't you? So
At least.
yeah, see, that's crazy to me. I would, yeah. When you were earlier saying you had to take your daughter to go take the SAT at an ungodly early hour, I thought I just wake up that time all time. So yeah, it's no, it's not
so
ungodly early for most people.
the June show is what was the topic? So many
Cool desserts?
Cool desserts.
So many cool desserts. Yeah.
What do you think?
Like nice cream.
Not yet.
I don't know, maybe a ice cream or I don't know. I came up with something. I have to remember what that was, and my husband might be able to remind me. I came up with something so good the other day. It was like a lemon cream with strawberries and graham cracker, and it was delicious, like a lemon cream tofu thing. I can't remember. I'll have to figure it out. But I brought it to a potluck, and now I don't remember what it was. So
Well, if you go back
I'll
to
figure it
one
out.
of our first shows, I think it was the third or fourth show on fruit, I demonstrated a peach ice cream. And I was thinking maybe of making a strawberry ice cream. But also I've been thinking maybe of making, I make a really good blueberry crisp. And the blueberry crisp is heated, so it's not a cool dessert, but then it can be served cold with a cold vegan whipped cream or some vegan ice cream. So that might be something I might make, something like
think
that.
on that same show, I made blueberry popsicles. So that's very cool. I did. I made blueberry popsicles. They were really good.
I remember the pictures. Yeah, and so healthy. Blueberries are really. Blueberries are one of those foods that are so good for you. So my friend Brenda Davis, she buys a lot in the season in Canada, and she freezes it. And we did the same thing. Maybe not as much as she buys. My daughter picked a lot of blueberries, and they lasted till just recently because you just throw a couple in your oatmeal or whatever. So blueberries are very high in antioxidants and just a great food. We haven't set the theme for the July show yet, I don't think, have we? We have a date, I believe, but not a theme.
That I know.
So anybody who has any ideas, feel free to email us. Email any of us, firstname@somanycooks.com. And if you have any ideas. And one idea I had while I was looking at you, those, I don't think those are Triple Cross behind you, but the tangerines is Triple Cross here is now ending in terms of how we can get it. So I'm thinking of freezing a few because you can blend a frozen Triple Cross and it makes this really nice frozen orange dessert. So maybe
you should do that for the June show, Dilla. That sounds good.
To stretch the citrus out. Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, these are actually Mineola Tangelos and organic mandarins. So
Kathy has a question. Oh, Kathy has a great suggestion, and this is maybe for the kids in the kitchen too. I would like to see a show based on finger food or any kind of food to feed young children. Young children are so picky, and finding healthy foods to fill all the food groups is hard. Could definitely use guidance. That's a great idea. So
finger food.
I should call my daughter to look at this. So Anuragini, look at the suggestion we just got, which would be good for kids in the kitchen.
She says not for the July show though.
Okay. This is my daughter Anuragini, who's one of the kids in the kitchen.
I know.
So this suggestion came in about a show based on finger foods or any kind of food to feed young children. Young children can be picky, and finding healthy foods could definitely use some guidance. Did you want to talk about? There's one or two ideas you guys have for some of your future shows.
Maybe the next show we're going to do is a Harry Potter show where we're going to make recipes from the Harry Potter world, and I think that would be really fun.
Ooh, like butterbeer. To make a vegan version of butterbeer. And
there's a cookbook. Why don't you tell them the cookbook? All the kids in the kitchen have the cookbook.
Yeah, and it has like recipes from the Harry Potter world, like the feasts that they have, the Halloween feast, and it's all vegan.
Cool. Okay.
Because one of the actors is vegan. Which one?
The The one who plays Luna Lovegood, Ivana Lynch.
The one who plays Luna Lovegood, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. That's very cool.
So not for the July show. Okay. So
Not
take
for
that into consideration down the road. Maybe a
Why
finger
not for the July?
because you want to do the Harry Potter. Oh, she doesn't want you to do it for the July show. I don't know why not. but consider finger foods.
Maybe we should do a cookout show for the July show since, 4th of July cookouts.
Maybe.
Hmm.
So with that, thanks for watching, and please let us know any additional ideas you have. I hope that we gave you some good ideas with brunch foods. I certainly enjoyed the show. As I mentioned, since I'm kind of running the show, I don't get all the details, but I know what everybody made. Everything always looks great. I need to find out from Angelita what pepper she used, because I like a lot of heat, but I can't tolerate a lot of heat. So something which mitigates it with sweetness would be nice. Are you texting her right now? I already did.
Oh, okay. I know
So-
she's busy at some kind of military thing with her husband.
Yeah, she had to go right after the show. So thanks everybody for watching, and we look forward to seeing you at our next show, which is about a month away. I think it's the first weekend in June, and then I think the July show is June 3rd.
June 3rd. Mm-hmm.
Okay, sounds good. And please remember, Adrian and Janice, I haven't checked my email, but please remember to email us that with your address and all. Yeah, of course. You're quite welcome, Kathy. Thanks so much, Bernadette. It's good to see you. I wish you had asked a question so you could have been in the running too. All right, and catch us if you're interested in the immersion too. It's I put the link up bit.ly/WFPB immersion, but you can email Carolyn or Carolyn at SoManyCooks.com or Dilip at SoManyCooks.com. So thanks so much. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching. Happy Mother's Day next week.
Happy Mother's Day.
So many cooks in the kitchen, so many recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen with ideas we're happy to share.